Chapter 3. Turai, the country of water. Thud, thud, thud. Tuya's thoughts felt unusually sluggish. What is that sound? It's loud but seems kind of far away. Listen, listen. So, my mommy, she makes the most delicious stew in the world. You have to try some. I'm hearing a little girl's voice now. Where have I heard that voice before? I can't remember. Well, that sounds like something to look forward to. But, just saying, RE Files cooking won't lose, alright? And now it's a man's voice. That voice. Where have I? My head hurts. No. My mommy's is the best. But since you don't believe me, how about I try them both and compare them myself? What was I doing earlier, anyway? I feel like it was something terribly important. Ruka, I told you not to bother the honorable adventurers, didn't I? What's happened to Setsuna, Nana, and Miyabi? The last thing I was doing. Ha ha ha, I don't mind at all. It's still quite a distance to Turai. I welcome the conversation. The owner of that voice, I was last, Setsuna and the others. Hey there, man, you're finally awake. Tuya felt his consciousness slowly return to him. Opening his eyes, he saw a clear blue sky entirely devoid of clouds. Very, very slowly, he sat up, his mind still foggy. He tried to focus on the faces in front of him, one at a time. There was the little girl who had been a captive in Black Wind's hideout, the girl's mother, and Tuya, right? You feeling any pain anywhere? The black-robed man with whom he'd been fighting until the moment he'd blacked out. You. Get away from the girl. First of all, calm down. You probably shouldn't get up yet. Rest up for a little while longer. The instant Tuya recognized the young man, he had tried to spring up and lunge at him. In response, the stranger threw out a nonchalant gesture, and an invisible force pushed him back down. Having only just recovered, the hero was incapable of resisting what felt like a powerful air pressure spell. To his utter frustration, he was easily pressed back down. Goddammit, I won't lose to you again. You know, going all out might be the right choice sometimes, but this really isn't one of those times. Take a better look around you. Also, if you strain yourself too much, you might reopen your wounds. Tuya was about to exert himself further in a show of defiance, but the stranger's words prompted him to stop and take a closer look at his surroundings. The black-robed man was sitting cross-legged, and nestled in his lap was the little girl. You sick bastard. You would even lay your hands on a little girl? Of course not, you idiot. I meant take a look at what Ruka's holding, said the man as he pointed at the little girl's hands. Tuya thought he felt the air pressure on him increase a bit. Jiggling in Ruka's arms was the slime supposedly belonging to the adventurers who had saved the captives that Tuya and his friends had encountered in Black Wind's hideout, a group of victims that included Ruka and her mother. That slime, it belongs to the adventurers we went to save. That's right. Its name is Clotho. And I'm that adventurer. The name's Kelvin, replied the man, flashing his gold guild card in response to Tuya's confusion. That can't be. The adventurers we went to save were the big man and the woman with the magical jewels that you. It's true, cried the little girl. I said it was Big Brother who saved us, didn't I? Those other two were friends of the bad bandits. Ruka, don't raise your voice, all right? Admonished the girl's mother. Esteemed hero, please forgive my daughter's lack of manners. However, what she says is the truth. Tuya stared at them, speechless. In light of the testimonies of the rescued victims themselves, there was nothing he could say. Now that he'd had time to cool down, he realized that the man had never once identified himself as a member of Black Wind. In fact, judging from the circumstances, he was likely the one who had taken down the real Black Wind. Even the slime that had asked the heroes to back up its master, was happily obeying the guy's orders. Putting those facts together, Tuya arrived at the only logical conclusion. So you're the adventurer who went ahead? Yes, as I've said several times already, Kelvin answered, finally dispelling the pressure around Tuya. So can we put this little misunderstanding behind us? Ah, yes, I'm terribly sorry. Tuya's dazed mind finally registered the heavy, rhythmic thuds that he had been hearing in the background until then. He suddenly grew aware of the gentle rolling of the floor beneath him. His mind had been so occupied by other concerns that only now did he realize they were clearly in motion. Where are we? Do you remember the black golems you guys fought? We're currently riding one. I'm sorry? Tuya apprehensively took stock of his surroundings. He was in an open space the size of a room in a small apartment. The floor was black and there were safety rails surrounding the edges. Heavy footsteps could be heard at regular intervals, immediately accompanied by a feeling of the floor rolling forward. To be honest, I hadn't fully thought through the transportation of the people we might be freeing. I'm so glad that golem creation magic ended up working in a pinch. Geez, Big Brother's such a klutz. Tuya could only stare blankly as Kelvin, the mother, and the girl laughed together. After watching them for a while, he suddenly started. Wait, Setsuna and the others. And the other rescued captives. Where are they? I put them onto another golem with my party members until we could work this out. And now that I've cleared things up with you, their leader, I guess you guys should meet back up. Hang on a second. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow. Sarah, I've worked things out with Tuya. Can you bring the other heroes over? Sure thing. I was just starting to get bored. I'll carry them over all at once. I turned back to the puzzled hero. My companion is bringing your friends over right then. Ah, looks like they're already here. What? I looked upwards, prompting Tuya to follow suit. Something was drawing closer to our unusual carriage. We're here. With an explosive sound, Sarah made quite an entrance, falling from the sky with Nana and Miyabi under her arms and Setsuna clinging to her back. It was easy to forget that Sarah, as a demon, had wings. Thanks to her clip of camouflage, those wings were normally invisible, but they still retained their function. Paired with her flight skill, she pretty much had complete freedom to fly wherever she wanted. I feel like I might throw up again. That was a new experience. In contrast to Nana, whose face was pale as she pressed a hand to her mouth, Miyabi's eyes were sparkling like stars. It was like the difference between someone who loved roller coasters and someone who couldn't handle them at all. I was bored, so I came as quickly as I could. Let's have tea, Kelvin. Looks like you brought more than just the heroes with you. Ifil thoughtfully prepared these snacks for us to enjoy. She really does listen to everything you say, doesn't she? I invited her to come along too, but she said she'd continue keeping a lookout instead. Don't you think she's a bit too serious sometimes? I want to eat some too. Ruka, honey, how many times do I have to tell you? Speaking of which, I had indeed asked Ifil to keep an eye out for us with her farsight. I should probably do something to make it up to her when we get back to Tarai. Tuya, so, you heard everything? Asked Setsuna as she hopped down from Sarah's back. Yes, I have. Turns out it was all a misunderstanding. Setsuna, Nana, Miyabi, I'm sorry for dragging you into my mess. Tuya bowed his head to his friends in apology. Then he turned towards me, getting down on his knees. Kelvin-san, I'm so sorry for taking such extreme actions based on a misunderstanding and causing you so much trouble in the process. As Tuya got into position to prostrate himself, the other heroes behind him followed suit. I quickly moved to stop all of them, feeling totally flustered. After all, I was the one who set things up to play out that way, based on a whim. Then again, the blind sense of justice that these heroes possess is a little worrying, so perhaps this incident has given them some food for thought. There's no point in dwelling on it. What matters more is that you guys keep your word regarding the prize we agreed on. If you do this one thing for me, I'm more than happy to let bygones be bygones. With that, I explained the circumstances surrounding Black Wind's defeat in full. Having been given a basic rundown by Mist-san beforehand as well, the four readily agreed to cooperate. If our identities as heroes can be of help to someone, then to answer that need is our duty. However, it would not serve as our punishment. Kelvin-san, do you not have anything else that you want us to do? Anything else? Something I want you guys to do. My words trailed off as I shot a quick glance at Sarah and Ruka, who had apparently already started digging into the food. Come on, you guys started without me? I mean, it's fine, but still. Ruka, you have any good ideas for punishments? Punishments? What about Caesar? Caesar? In Terai, bad boys and girls are made to sit in a pose called Caesar while they're being scolded. It's very tough. Well, all right, then. You lot, sit in this Caesar pose until we reach Terai. How long would that be, Kelvin-san? Riding on this golem? About half a day. Tuya and Nana froze in shock. Sensing their reactions, Setsuna turned to them and said worriedly, I'm used to it, myself, but, will you two be all right? The last hero, Miyabi, had apparently never even heard the term before. Setsuna, you know this? What is Caesar? Sitting on the rhythmically rolling floor of the great golem as it strode towards Terai, the heroes learned that their true trials had only just begun. Soon enough, we had successfully returned the rescued captives to Terai. Since the transport golem would have attracted undue attention strolling up to the city gates, we dismounted a distance away and covered the last leg on foot. Aside from Setsuna, all of the heroes were completely exhausted, so I brought them back to their feet with the help of white magic. It seemed like Miyabi had been slightly traumatized by the Caesar ordeal, but, well, there was no magic cure for that. As the Adventurers Guild had already sent word to the Queen of Terai, I had expected us to be welcomed back with a huge festival and the whole city out in full force. But no. There was a representative of the royal palace at the guild, however, and we found him anxiously conversing with Mist-san when we arrived. Upon seeing us, the representative scanned the faces of the women we had saved, then made a beeline for one in particular. Both of them burst into tears as they hugged each other fiercely. As it turns out, the two of them were engaged and it was one of those stereotypically emotional homecoming scenes. The woman had gone missing just the other day while on her way to Parth, prompting her fiancé to issue a missing person quest to the guild. By sheer coincidence, he had ended up being the appointed representative when Mist-san contacted the Queen about the sensitive Black Wind situation. Ever since, he had been stopping by the guild day in and day out, repeatedly checking for updates. The couple wept profusely, thanking me again and again. The other women, including Ruka and her mother, Ellie-san, were placed under the protection of the guild, which would be helping to confirm their identities in cooperation with the higher-ups of Terai. It probably wouldn't be too long before Parth, Daramus, and Gon caught wind of the incident and sent inquiries to Trison. We had the heroes' testimonies now, so there was no way that Trison could squirm out of it. See you again soon, big brother. Thank you so very much, esteemed adventurers and heroes. After parting with Ruka, who energetically waved her arms and shouted, bye-bye, the whole time until she disappeared from sight, my party. The heroes, Mist-san, and I were escorted to Terai Castle. It seemed the Queen wanted to thank us in person. I knew this was the meeting that would determine whether I could finally get my hands on rice. According to my earlier conversation with Mist-san, This specific strain, the description of which sounded extremely similar to that of modern Japanese rice, was harvested only in Terai. Although it was a local staple and therefore served at inns, it was not an exported product, and only permanent residents of Terai were allowed to purchase it. I, of course, wanted to be able to eat it every day. I doubted that I'd be able to say, "All right, gimme rice," right up front, but I thought I might have a chance depending on how negotiations went. "Please grant me a special purchasing permit." Terai Castle stood upon a small, remote island off the coast. Like the city itself, its architectural style seemed to have a slight Japanese influence. The beautiful body of water that faced the city was called the Dragon Sea, rumored to be home to the Water Dragon King. There were many related stories and legends, such as how, during a past war, a storm had sprung up to sink approaching enemy ships, or how a gigantic dragon had appeared to chase their enemies away. As a result, Terai worshipped the Water Dragon King as their national guardian and greatly cherished the sea. Our procession boarded a boat at the local port, which was the only way to reach the castle. Throughout our journey, Sarah's eyes practically sparkled with her first experience of traveling by water. From up close, the water looks so clear and beautiful. "It really is beautiful," agreed Eiffel. "And it's so clear that even the fish are visible from here." "What? Fish? Where?" "Over there." "Ah, there are some over here as well. I've got pretty good eyesight myself, but I can't see anything." Eiffel pointed towards the spot she'd been referring to. However, like Sarah, I couldn't even make out the silhouettes in the water. Then again, that was hardly surprising given Eiffel's farsight skill. In the absence of any obstacles, she was capable of seeing, well, very far. I bet if she raised the skill to rank S, she could even see past the horizon, I thought jokingly. Luckily, she could adjust the distance of her sight at will, so the skill did not impair her day-to-day life. As we drew closer to the castle, the heroes began to chat about our destination. "So that's Terai Castle. It looks a bit like a Japanese castle," murmured Tuya. "You think so too, Kanzaki-kun? The dragon decorations on the roof look sort of like Shachihoko's, don't they?" I thought the same thing. I suppose we Japanese folks would have that impression. According to the legends, the founder of our kingdom was summoned from another world, just as you were. It could be that his hometown was the same as yours, offered Mist-san. "The same as ours. Was he summoned by an earlier oracle of Daramus, the same way Colette summoned us?" "The oracles only summon heroes, so I believe our founder reached this world through another means. Although such individuals are rare and not much is known about other forms of transmigration, there are credible records that attest to their existence." Setsuna looked pensive. "That sounds like what we would call, being spirited away, in our world. Who knows, maybe there are such people closer than we imagine." "Ahaha, Setsuna-chan, what would be the chances of that?" laughed Nana. "You're right, I suppose. That would be quite far-fetched, wouldn't it? Ahaha, but there is one right here. This Setsuna seems pretty sharp. Is it just me or does she somewhat suspect me of being an otherworlder too?" I had long since revealed my origins to my own party members after being exposed by Rio. Although I'd had to drum up quite a bit of courage to come clean, all of them took the news in stride. Master is master. My loyalty to you will never change. Well, can't say I'm surprised. After all, my king, your strength is unnatural by all accounts." "Ha. Otherworlder? Sure, why not? More importantly, is my new gear ready yet?" That was pretty much how the whole conversation had gone. If I didn't know any better, I might have suspected them of possessing nerves of steel. And about these other transmigrators, they were probably the victims of some god or goddess's whim, weren't they? The topic's pretty interesting, though. Maybe Melfina can shed some light on it when she returns. Didn't meet others in Daramus. Encounter chance lower than Tuya's lecture luck disappearing, chimed in Miyabi. I really am sorry about those accidents. Speaking of which, it hasn't happened at all lately. Now that you mention it, I haven't seen or heard of any such accounts since we reached Turai. What, are you in a slump? I would much prefer it if you'd stay this way forever. Setsuna always cleaning up. Tuya always causing trouble. It's not like I do it on purpose. Oh ho, this topic sounds interesting too. Damn, I'm totally eavesdropping on them right now. But if I'm understanding the conversation correctly, the big hero has that disposition so common to male protagonists in romantic comedy manga, huh? Ha ha ha, how about you explode and die while you're at it? Wait, so that absolute gospel skill that he possesses, is this its effect? The thing about unique skills was that they couldn't be acquired with SP, which meant I couldn't look them up to read their descriptions. Even when I knew the name of one, I had no way of confirming what it actually did. Normally, by this time, you'd have tripped over nothing and taken a dive into Nana's chest, forgotten the time and walked in on Miyabi bathing, or, accidentally, harassed a random female passerby. Thankfully, I have the danger detection skill, which helps me to avoid all of that nonsense. But still, this must be the first time you've gone so long without doing anything inappropriate. Come on, Setsuna, you know I can't help it. And I always make sure to apologize properly. Hey, hero, I'm gonna need you to sit a bit farther away from Ephil and Sarah, I warned. You too, Kelvin-san? Yep. Sounds like my guess about his skill is spot on. I take back what I said during the game. He's the most dangerous one of them all. For some unknown reason, that shady skill doesn't seem to be in effect right now. But I will not be letting down my guard. After all, there's no telling when more of his stereotypical protagonist bullshit might kick in. With everyone present activating their detection skills for various reasons, our procession finally arrived at Turai Castle. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. Once inside the castle, we were escorted to a room the size of a standard Japanese banquet hall. I specifically liken it to a Japanese banquet hall because tatami mats covered the entire floor. In addition, the room had paper sliding doors and hanging scrolls for decorations. In just about every way, it looked like a room from a traditional ryokan inn back home. At the far end of the chamber sat the sovereign of our host country. Well met, adventurers and heroes. I am Tsubaki Fujiwara, the current queen of Turai. To my surprise, the queen was a young girl. In fact, her appearance suggested that she might be even younger than the heroes. However, the overwhelming aura of dignity and confidence that she emitted left no doubt about her status. With her floor-length, glossy black hair and resplendent kimono, she looked like a princess straight out of ancient Japan. I'm pretty sure she's the first person I've met in this world who has a family name. Not that I'm surprised, though, considering all the Japanese influences around here. In this world, only nobility and royalty had family names. This was a custom shared by all of the countries. I had peeked at quite a number of statuses with Analyze Eye, but I had yet to see anyone else with a family name. Supposedly, a high-rank skill called naming was required to grant peerage to someone who wasn't previously a noble, but that was irrelevant at the moment. I got down on one knee and lowered my head. We are deeply honored for this audience, Your Majesty. My name is Kelvin, and I serve as the leader of this party. As we are but lowly adventurers, the opportunity to be presented to Your Majesty is an enormous honor. Behind me are Ephil, Gerard, and Sarah. All of them are my trusted allies. I did not have Clotho summoned at the moment. According to Melfina, Turai had once been left on the brink of collapse by another slime Glutonia. Although Clotho was much smaller, I figured it wouldn't hurt to err on the side of caution. It was imperative that I afforded the queen every courtesy in order to establish a good relationship with her. Eiffel used her service skill practically every day, and Gerard had been a knight in the past, so I wasn't worried about either of them. The loose cannon, as I saw it, was Sarah. Although I had talked with her about it beforehand, would her pride as a demon prevent her from showing respect to a human, even if said human was the ruler of a country? Don't worry. I was a princess, okay? I learned how to greet other royals as part of my education. And, well, I wouldn't do anything that'd cause you any trouble. The sudden telepathic message from Sarah prompted me to shoot a look in her direction. She was down on one knee and in a proper pose of respect. In fact, she seemed to be radiating dignity and elegance to match that of the queen. Look at you being a perfect princess. Why don't you do this normally? Because it's super tiring. Is that so? In spite of the friendly jab, I found myself feeling thankful to her yet again. All said and done, she was often considerate of me in her own way. Next, the heroes made their introductions, after which the queen relaxed her expression. Be at ease and raise your faces. I, too, dislike standing on ceremony. Feel free to rest a bit. I have arranged enough seats for all of you, so let us enjoy a nice long talk together. The heroes began to whisper excitedly amongst themselves. I didn't catch it all, but I did hear Nana saying, "Kanzaki-kun, those are floor cushions. They're so nostalgic. They're so soft," and Tuya responding with, "I know, right? I never imagined I'd have the chance to sit on a floor cushion in a tatami room here." The group appeared to be on a strange high. Possibly a lingering effect from the Caesar ordeal while riding the golem. I do notice, Kelvin Dono, that you and your party seem quite well versed in courtesies, in spite of your status as adventurers. The majority of adventurers that I've met had no concept of basic etiquette. The contrast is not lost on me. We've made a good first impression. Nice. We are unworthy of such words, Your Majesty. Do not put yourself down unnecessarily, the Queen chuckled. Judging from the collar on your maid, she is your slave, is she not? All of her mannerisms, be it her walk or gestures, indicate a deep understanding of what it takes to treat you, as her master, with respect. Having educated a slave in such excellent etiquette is a testament to your worth. Eiffel learned all of that stuff herself, though, still, this young girl sure picked up on a lot in the short time since we entered the room. She really does live up to her title. When it comes to Sarah Dono, I feel like I am facing a noble. As for Gerard Dono, his appearance seems to indicate that he is a knight. That said, I understand that prying into an adventurer's past is frowned upon, so I will not press. What matters most is that you are the champions who have brought down Black Wind. We are deeply grateful for your consideration. Say no more of it. Well then, heroes of Daramus, I heard that you were of great assistance to Kelvin Dono during his raid of Black Wind's headquarters. Your swift decisions and prompt actions upon receiving word from Mist Dono are worthy of commendation. We didn't. Indeed, the heroes saved us from a truly precarious situation. Hold on What, Kelvin-san? Just hush and take the credit, I thought with an internal sigh. If you're serious about defeating the Demon Lord in the future, establishing connections with other countries is extremely important. Consider it also to be an apology for all the trouble I caused you. Splendid, splendid. Both parties have indeed served our country well. However, I am afraid I have some disappointing news. Here, the young queen's face adopted a troubled expression that seemed to better fit her age. Under normal circumstances, this would be an achievement worthy of rousing the entire city in celebration. However, given how deeply Trison is involved in this matter, we will not be able to publicly release the details anytime soon. I still wish to repay all of you for saving our country's precious citizens, though. Tell me, what do you desire? The queen looked at Tuya and me in turn. Tuya spoke first. We ask for nothing in return. In spite of what Kelvin San has said, we did not contribute anything to the Black Wind subjugation. All credit and rewards should go to his party instead. How do you feel about that, Kelvin Dono? Well, can't say I'm surprised. I thought he might refuse the credit. In that case, I ventured, I have heard that Terai has a grain rumored to be absolutely delicious, but it can be purchased only by the citizens of this country. May I be so forward as to ask for a purchasing permit? That is all you wish for? You may have status, fame, and money if you so choose. There is much within my power to grant. Are you sure of your decision? We are adventurers who enjoy our freedom. Accepting a status unbefitting of our station in life would only shackle us. Given a choice, we would much prefer to fill our stomachs with delicious food. Gerard and Sarah nodded in agreement while Eiffel simply smiled. The queen chuckled, then burst into delighted laughter. What curious company indeed. Here I was, expecting you to be ruled by desire as the champions of Trison were. I stand corrected, much to my entertainment and surprise. Kelvin Dono, do not concern yourself with a purchasing permit. You shall have rice by the sackfuls. When you run out, simply send me a letter and I shall arrange for more to be delivered to you at no cost to yourself. Were you testing us, Your Majesty? Not with any untoward intentions, of course. Had you chosen to accept money or status, I would have given you what you asked for without belittlement or trickery. All this means is that I have taken a liking to you. The queen's laughter rang out pleasantly once more in an obvious display of good spirits. Looks like the negotiations have gone quite well. Tuya Dono, the queen continued, you are indeed the hero they say you are. You possess a simple honesty and a straightforward personality. These are wonderful traits in moderation. When taken too far, however, they will lead you to an early death, likely in a manner that will not allow your allies to escape unscathed, either. Of course, Your Majesty, replied Tuya, clenching his fists. That said, do not be so hard on yourself. We all learn as we live. What matters most, Tuya Dono, is our experiences and applying the lessons that we learn from them. Setsuna Dono, Nana Dono, and Miyabi Dono, make sure that you support him as needed. I shall take your words to heart, Your Majesty. Good response. Well then, although modest, I have made arrangements for a celebratory feast tonight. I pray you will all enjoy it. The queen clapped her small hands together once and several screens on the side of the room slid open, revealing female servants bearing a large assortment of dishes. Nana's eyes sparkled. I can't believe it. They've got sashimi and takikomi gohan. And is that a pot for Nabe also? Amazing, it's all Japanese cuisine. Setsuna looked deeply impressed as well. From what I can see, the ingredients are not quite the same, but this is undoubtedly Japanese cooking. I have heard that you heroes hail from a country called Japan, which is where our kingdom's founder, Taraji Fujiwara, originally came from. He left behind much of his unique culture in this country, so it is my hope that tonight may serve as a small reminder of your homeland. As for Kelvin Dono, feel free to take this as an opportunity to taste the rice that our country is so proud of. I shall gratefully take you up on that offer. Moments later, I had taken my first bite of rice since coming to this world. The sensation was unbelievably delicious and terribly nostalgic. Hollow diamond, 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 hollow. After the audience at the castle, my party and I checked in at the inn where the queen had arranged rooms for us and, for the first time in quite a while, just lounged about. I read a book, Sarah was sprawled out on her bed, sipping on fruit juice, and Gerard polished his beloved sword. Eiffel was making dinner for us in the kitchen downstairs, a tiny clone of Clotho once again sitting on her shoulder. The heroes were in their own rooms. Oh, yeah. Sarah and Gerard, do you guys not have family names? Back when I had contracted with each of them, I had checked their respective statuses. Neither of them had family names listed. Sarah looked over. Where did that come from? The topic just struck me when we met the Queen and she included Fujiwara as a family name. If I remember correctly, it's only nobility and royalty who have family names here, right? Sarah, you being a princess means that you were royalty, and Gerard, you being a knight means you had peerage back then, right? So why do you only have first names? Ah, that's what you mean. How can I explain this? You know of the naming skill, my king? In a general sense, I guess. I only glimpsed it for a second while scrolling through the skills tab on my status screen. That skill is how family names are added, right? Naming was quite literally used for naming people and things. At a low rank, it gave the wielder the ability to name their own personal items, with the restriction that the item's rank had to be the same as that of the skill or lower. At a higher rank, it could be used to name someone else's items with the owner's permission. At a high enough rank, even spells and other people's names could be changed. The only problem was that names altered through this skill would show up in blue text on the status screen, so all in all, it was not a skill that would see much general use. That is correct. When a country welcomes a new member of the nobility, an official who possesses the naming skill at a high rank must be present during the ceremony. It is this official who bears the duty of bestowing the new family name. I am not sure of the exact details myself, but I believe it requires the skill to be at rank A or higher. Rank A? In other words, one would have to be blessed with both talent points and growth points just to get this one skill at such a high rank. Sounds like quite a burden. That is why there are entire families who do whatever they can to produce rank A namers from one generation to the next, keeping their hold on a position of power and honor, and their place at court secure. To hear such families tell it, nurturing a successor is also one of their responsibilities. We demons are a bit looser with the whole naming thing, Sarah added. It was mainly just weirdos who acquired a non-combat skill like naming and went so far as to raise it to rank A. Most demons are highly ambitious and willing to do whatever it takes to become nobility. Consequently, it wasn't uncommon for demon races to break out into war over a single namer. That's why demons settled on a simple rule. If you acquire a family name through someone in possession of the naming skill, you're a noble. And each skill holder can only name one person, first come, first served. Is that why so many demon lords come from the demon race? In the first place, what's to stop someone from mass-producing namers? What are you demons, warring barbaric tribes? Really? I thought you'd like that rule, Kelvin. In any case, I only learned all this through books, so the reality might be entirely different. Not to mention a lot of time has passed since my days as a princess. The way we handle naming in the human world is completely different, Gerard offered. Family names are bestowed only during a specific ceremony that each country hosts twice a year. Those who possess the naming skill are forbidden from using it without express permission from their governments. Each country keeps strict records of those with family names, and it is a crime to declare oneself a noble out of the blue. Interesting, interesting. Hey, wait a moment. If I remember correctly, that pig of a prince who picked a fight with me back in Parth didn't have a family name, either. Why was that? What about children born to noble parents? Do they not inherit the family name from birth? No, they do not. All children must undergo a naming ceremony to receive the family name. The particulars depend on the family, but the general practice is to do this when the child is ready to move out and become independent. Which means little Piggy wasn't independent yet, huh? Well, things might be different for royalty for all I know. I see. Thanks, I think I get the gist of it now. So, to wind the conversation back a bit, Sarah and Gerard, are you two not nobles? I'm royalty, which is different from nobility. In spite of everything that happened, my father was a king, after all. The thing is, he left me unconscious while enacting my escape, so even I'm not sure how or why my family name is gone. Sounds to me like your father got the demon who named you to undo it, lass. If you had kept your family name, it would have drawn a lot of unwanted attention, no? Namers can revoke any naming they've performed with the permission of a blood relative of the named person. Considering all the trouble Demon Lord Gustav went to when he sealed Sarah away, including setting it up so that other demons couldn't touch her chains and making sure that she had the clip of camouflage to disguise herself, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that he had her family name erased as well. Gerard has a point. Lone nobles make great targets for bad people. Well, anyone who targets me will eat my fist, so I should be fine. That's, not quite what I meant. As for me, continued Gerard, although I originally came from a family of peasant farmers, I did indeed receive a family name when I was appointed knight captain, thanks to the generosity of the King of Alkal. If I had to guess, I probably lost my family name when I returned as a Black Spirit Knight. Being transformed into a monster must have undone the naming. In other words, there are ways of losing a family name beyond it simply being revoked by the namer. I guess, replied Sarah. In any case, I'm just plain old Sarah now. And this very reliable shield is plain old Gerard. Things worked out fine, don't you think? She gave us a peaceful smile as she turned face down on the bed and started flapping her legs. Although I was reluctant to admit it, I felt my heart skip a beat. Knock knock. The reserved rap on the door indicated that it was Ephil on the other side. Master, dinner is ready. I have learned how to properly cook rice and have memorized all of the Japanese recipes that the chef sent by the Queen could teach me. Well done, Ephil. I'm so glad we didn't have to rely on the very limited bits and pieces of cooking knowledge in my memory. Now I can enjoy rice every day, even after returning to Parth. You are the MVP. Without thinking about it, I lifted up Ephil's slender body and started spinning her round and round. What? I might have the lowest strength stat in our party, but even I'm capable of this much. Even being at the lower end of my party's strength still places me higher than your average adventurer. Master, I'm getting dizzy. Ha ha ha. And what's wrong with that? This is cause for celebration. But it's embarrassing. Of course, I did not stop. I'm going to keep spinning forever. Oh, it's been quite a while since I last saw such a spontaneous reaction from Ephil. Really? That's her being spontaneous? Well, I guess it is kind of different from her usual cool self. She started paying attention to her mannerisms after becoming a maid. Her cute reactions right now are how she was in the beginning. Master, stop it. Sit. What am I, a dog? Ephil's excited shrieks continued for a little while longer. Hey, guys, what's going on here? What are you doing, Kelvin San? Tuya had come to investigate the source of the noise. He was alone since, at Setsuna's request regarding the sleeping arrangements, he had been assigned to a separate room all by himself. Hollow diamond, 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 hollow. As we had gone to the trouble of traveling all the way to a different country, Ephil, Sarah, and I were going to spend the day sightseeing in Turai. Gerard went off on his own, saying that he would be helping the heroes to pick out new equipment. So it was just me out and about with a beautiful lady and a cute girl by my side. It made for a rather conspicuous sight, to put it mildly, and we encountered a number of hoodlums who attempted to accost us. Each time, the merciless Sarah would jump straight to using her fists, so it fell to me, as the weakest member of the group, to gently rebuff all such advances. To avoid causing any further trouble, we eventually settled on checking out some relatively vacant stores. Kelvin, buy this for me. Just look, it's so artistic. As we were poking around an antique shop, Sarah emerged from the back holding a suspicious-looking decoration that bore a passing resemblance to a Buddhist statue, but with a design so demonic that I could imagine some shady cult member trying to convince me it was their one true god. Oh, right, this girl is a demon. What do you plan to do with that? Ward off evil? I can only see it attracting evil. Go put it back where you found it. What? But it looks so cool. Since we were planning on buying something in particular, we did not have too much money to burn at the moment. Also, although we did have some spare cash, me letting Sarah buy whatever she wanted would not have been conducive to her education. She pestered me relentlessly, but I hardened my heart. Master, over there. What is it? This time, it was Ephil who was talking. It didn't sound like she had found something she wanted, though. Rather, there was a troubled expression on her face as she pointed at the front window of the store. I'd buy anything Ephil asked for on the spot, of course. Kelvin. Our conversation is not over yet. As far as I'm concerned, it was over ages ago. Seriously, how about you talk about something more constructive? So, Ephil, what are we looking at? While attempting to placate Sarah's indignant protests, I turned to look outside and immediately recognized the figures of Tuya and his party. Possibly having gotten separated somewhere along the way, Gerard was nowhere to be seen. Instead, the teens were currently accompanied by one of the groups of hoodlums we had turned away earlier. Looks like I was a bit too gentle before. You bastard. First that other guy, and now you're bringing such cuties around? You people doing this to spite us or something? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Would you mind explaining a bit? Shut up. I've had enough. Let me start by fixing that pretty boy face you got there. Calm down. How about we talk this out? Don't worry, I'm sure we can come to understand each other. Tuya, that attitude is only going to provoke them more. Annoyance. To be eliminated without delay. Let's do it. You brats. Someone help. A fight's broken out. What the hell am I watching? Look how naturally Mr. Hero and his friends got caught up in a fight. These thugs are hardly the kinds of opponents they'd need my help with, but I didn't think the state of Toraj's public order was this bad. Could this be normal for all heroes? Or is this happening specifically because of Tuya's disposition? Either way, this single episode is enough to show me how tough Setsuna has it every day. Should we not help them? Asked Ephil, removing her bow from Clotho's storage. Nah, there's no need. I can't imagine gaining anything from dealing with such low-tier enemies, and it's not like the heroes can't handle them on their own. Besides, getting involved with Tuya's business is probably more trouble than it's, where's Sarah? Our other companion, who had been whining noisily next to me just moments before, was no longer in the store with us. The demonic Buddhist statue that she had been so hung up on was carelessly rolling about on the floor. Master, outside. Over there. Where? Ephil once again pointed out the window, so I looked back over. Stop right there. Why would you bully the weak that way? Looks like you need to be taught some manners. Surprised by her sudden entrance, Tuya cried, Sarah-san. Who the F? Hold on, you're with the black-haired dude from just before, aren't you? You're out of luck having bumped into us again. Please wait. Weak refers to them, chimed in Miyabi. Then, with a derisive snort, she added a short, weaklings. This silver-haired bitch. How about we all just calm down? I don't want to have to resort to violence either, cried Tuya desperately. Seeing Sarah's entrance, Miyabi provoking the hell out of the gangsters, and Tuya's unintentional throwing of oil onto the flames, I ran out of the store in a hurry. What the hell do these guys think they're doing?